30-year teacher, coached 21 years at Glenbard, U of I grad, master's in administration, and most importantly, a parent of 3 students that I moved into the district. I'm here to talk about the equity issues at Glenbard. Before I start, I'd like to quote 2 people. Toni Morrison: "Race is real information, but it tells you next to nothing about a person." And the great Walter Williams, who passed this year, race is an area in our lives subject to many fallacies, misunderstandings, sloppy analysis, and demagoguery. School boards, teachers, and some parents that support equity over equality are mostly well-meaning, but have no idea about the true history of this theory. And I feel they have relied upon sloppy analysis and superficial data. I have seen the data and can disprove any systematic problems, at least at my school, and would love to meet with the board. Side note, research Washington, D.C.'s Dunbar High School from the late 1880s to 1955, in the height of systematic discrimination in this country. You will be surprised with the all-black student test scores, and there were many other schools. My dad and his wife from Jim Crow South received a better education than all 3 of my siblings from CPS. So if the board really cares and loves this community, they will abandon equity, which is divisive, or Martin Luther King's dream of equality. I offer this board 2 books that will help them in this journey. Book number 1, Discrimination and Disparities, which teaches all disparities aren't necessarily linked to discrimination. And book number 2, which I will provide and I will put in every administrator, teachers, and students in the district's hand, The Fallacy Detective. This book has 36 lessons on how to recognize bad reasoning and teaches critical thinking. The inability to critically think makes many easy prey to schemes. This is not a personal attack, because without solid data, there can be no critical process. Equity training is stopping many teachers from doing their job, which is hurting the children this is meant to help. I have seen the data, personal data for my daughter. My daughter has a black dean's infraction at South, crying in class. This had nothing to do with her race or anyone at the school. And I ran the data, which I can leave to you. From 3 semesters, 2 to 3% of all students cause 38% of the infractions. The data is being used to create a problem. We need to change our language and stop calling certain people minorities and just deal with the individuals that need help. And the key word is minor. And then from my training, from the Courageous Conversation, I can't even remember the name of the training, they had aspects of white culture.
We have a high statement.
Okay. Can I leave this with someone?
My name is Cedra Crenshaw, and I'm the parent of a District 87 student. The Equity and Inclusion Student Services update is one more example of the district's nosedive into the regressive, radical left-wing political ideology of critical race theory. Like the Jim Crow South, you segregate students by race for achievement, substance, and other activities, some of which contain transparently political messaging. You encourage students to become left-wing political activists. One of the Sparks workshops is titled Anti-Racist Action Plan. Anti-racism is racism and is based on critical race theory. Ibram X. Kendi is a flagrant racist who openly supports anti-white racism. This racist also teaches that America is irredeemably racist, teaches that capitalism is racist, and basically teaches that anyone who doesn't support left-wing political ideology is a racist. And I know that because I read his book. Have you? Where is the counterbalance to the racist ideas promoted in his book in this district? Omitting alternative viewpoints is indoctrination, not education. And that's why I'm opting my child out of all critical race theory related teachings and activities in this district. My child is not enrolled in this district to be turned into a left-wing political activist. And I'll be submitting my opt-out form to my child's principal and will copy all of my child's teachers asserting my legal parental rights. I don't need their agreement or permission to opt out of this blatantly political activity. Critical race theory related teaching and activities include culturally responsive teaching and all of its euphemisms. Critical race theory is manifesting in the racist and divisive activities in the Equity and Inclusion Update. Anti-white racist teacher training you've spent over $143,000 on since 2016 with Pacific Education Group. The activist social studies department, political books like Stamped that were heavily promoted with no counterbalance, changes in grading standards, changes in AP standards pushed by equal opportunity schools, and the Black Lives Matter video you sent out last year that contained links showing how to commit criminal acts that was so egregious, I reported you to the FBI, and you finally and quietly took that video down. Critical race theory in all of its manifestations is anti-white racism, and racism is always wrong. Anyone who supports anti-racism is an America-hating racist. And if you're white and you really believe in anti-racism, you'll resign effective immediately and give your position to a person of color. Because as an anti-racist, you know the only reason you have your position of power is because of your white privilege and your complicity in white supremacy. And if you don't resign, you don't believe any of this. And if you don't believe it, you shouldn't be pushing it on the students and the teachers in this district. Woo.